Hey guys, so in this tutorial we're going to be looking at how we can warp our faces in Photoshop to get it to look a little bit like Edvard Munch had his Scream. So we're going to try and warp the face a little bit. So the first thing we need to do is we need to have taken our photo and put it on the desktop so it's easy to get. And we also need to have saved the Scream photo that is on the LMS, the high res, onto the desktop. Now you need to be in Photoshop. So the very first thing that you need to do is you want to go into File, once you're in Photoshop, and you want to go into New. So we're basically making a new document. So we want to come over, it's in pixels at the moment, but we want to make it into centimeters because they're easier to work with. So pixels, inches, centimeters. At the moment it's at the wrong measurements. We want it to be at A4 size. So an A4 size is, if we just go to width, we'll change this to 21. And the height is 29.7, which is a little bit tricky, but I'm sure you guys can get the hang of it. So width is 21 centimeters, height is 29.7. And once we press OK, we've got our canvas, which is the right A4 size. The next thing we're going to do is put our photograph that we've taken into here. So if we go up again to File, and we want to go to Place, because we want to place it in. And this will come up and we will choose the photo. Mine's here, you can find yours, it should be around there somewhere. And I just go Place, there it is, and it's on there. So you'll see these squares that are around the picture. To get rid of those, all you need to do is press Enter, and they should go. Okay, the next thing that you need to do is rasterize this, because otherwise you can't edit it, which is a bit annoying. So if we just go up to the layer, which is in the top bit here, so we've got File, Edit, Image, Layer, and all we want to do is go down to the word rasterize. And we want to click on rasterize and then go all layers. So you've just rasterized all layers. It's just a silly little thing to do, but it'll make things a lot easier. So now what we want to do is get rid of this black background, this annoying background, because otherwise we won't be able to edit our work. So the first thing we do is we come over to the background and we just turn off the visibility. So this one here, just press where the little eye is, and now you can see that there's no background at all, but there's still a background in this photo, and that's what we want to get rid of. So if we come over to the little magic wand tool, which looks a little bit like fireworks going off, we click on that and click on the area you want to get rid of. So I'll click about here, and you'll see all these little squiggly ant lines coming up. So to get rid of it, all we need to do is press delete. Perfect. Now the next thing we need to do is delete this little bit here. So if we click that side there, now not all of it's come up because it's a little bit contrasting, so it doesn't pick up that area, but that's okay at the moment. We'll just focus on getting rid of this. So if we just press delete, that bit's gone. Now if I come over, I can try and get rid of this, but what's going to happen is it'll pick up all this dark area, and we don't want that. So I'll just undo what I just did, and I'll just have to manually get rid of it. So if I come back over here, what I'll do is I'll get the eraser tool, which looks a bit like just like an eraser. I'll click on that, and I just have to carefully go through and edit this out. So it still looks a little bit shadowy, so all I have to do is come up, and the opacity, which is basically how hard you press. You know, if you press the rubber really hard, like at 100%, it'll rub everything out. So I just had to change that to make it press harder. That's called the opacity. And there's a little bit here as well that I'll rub out. Great, so I'm pretty happy with that. I've gotten rid of all the background, and there I am. Woo! Okay. So the next thing that we want to do is work on warping our face. So I want to start to warp my eyes first. Now what I do is I come over here and I go to the polygon lasso tool. So you've got a lasso tool. There's one that's round, it's just called the lasso tool, one called the polygonal lasso tool, and one called the magnetic. We want to choose the polygonal one, which is the one that looks a bit sharper. So we've grabbed that, and I'm just going to click, click, click right around my eye. Click, click, click. And you've got to make sure that you join the last bit up. So you'll see a little circle that comes up when you're ready to join it up, and click, and there are those squiggly ants again, which means you've done it right. Once you're here, you need to right click, and this will come up, and what you need to do is you need to go to layer via copy. And nothing looks like it's happened, but if you come over here, you've got a new layer. So there we are. You don't have to do that, but that's just to show you that it's actually there. It's just lined up with your eye perfectly, so it's a bit of a trick. So now what we have to do is make sure that this new layer is highlighted. So that was the old one. We've got to make sure this is highlighted. And we want to come up and we want to go to Edit. So you've got File, Edit, and we want to go to Transform, and we want to warp it. We want to make it all cool and warpy. So warp, and now this mesh has come up. So what I do is I just can drag it however I want it. You guys can take as much time as you want to do this. Get it looking how you want. And I'm happy with that, so I'll press enter. Now what I'm not happy with is this. This looks a little bit funny, this outside bit. So I'm going to grab my rubber and start to rub it out. Now before I was telling you about how this opacity is how light, hard and soft you press, I want to press a little bit softer to kind of blend them in. So maybe 58%. And there we are, that's one eye done. I'm looking pretty funny at the moment. So the next thing we do is this eye. So we've done this layer, we want to start back on our face layer. So make sure the face layer is highlighted, just like this. And we want to come back over and grab our lasso tool again. So face layer is highlighted, and come back over here to grab this sharp looking polygon lasso tool. If this lasso tool's there, all you have to do is click on this little arrow, and you'll click on it, and you'll grab that one. Great. So if we come around here, do the same thing, little clicks to get around your eye, and make sure it's joined up. There's that little circle, click, and those little squiggly ants. So you've done it right. Now we just want to right click again and go down to layer via copy. So if we look over at our layer thing, a new layer should come up, and it did. It's all highlighted, so that's great. We want to come up to edit now, edit, and we want to transform that eye. So back to transform, and in the transform we want to skew, distort, perspective, we want to warp it. Here's that mesh again. So like I said, you can take as long as you want. I'm just being quick so you guys can see how it's done. That looks pretty good. And to get rid of this mesh, now I'm happy with that, all I do is press enter. Great. Now the same thing, I'm not happy with this look. It looks a bit silly. It looks like I've just cut and stuck it out of a magazine. So I want to grab my eraser, and I'll slowly start to rub this out. Got to make sure I go around the eyes quite nicely so I don't cut them off. And I'm pretty happy with how that's blended in. Maybe just around here a bit more. There we are, so I've got some pretty big googly eyes. Now the next thing I want to do is my mouth. So we do the exact same thing we've been doing. We come back to our face because we're done with the two eye layers. You don't have to do what I just did there. Grab the face, so make sure that the face layer is highlighted. And then we just grab our lasso tool again, over here, and we do the exact same thing. We come around, and we come right around the mouth. The little circle should come up in a second. There it is. Click on it, and you got the little ants. And now what do? We right click and we want to go to layer via copy to make a copy of this layer so we can start to merge this one. So layer copy, there it is, it's all highlighted just like before. Now we want to transform this mouth, so if we go back up to edit like we did, we go down to transform like we've been doing, and transform, and then we go to warp. Great, that mesh has come up again, and we can warp our mouth. Now in the screen we saw that they had a pretty big screen, that's what it's called. So we want to kind of really get this mouth right. So I want you guys to take your time at making it as warped as you want. I want to make mine pretty big. So my lips look big, my mouth might need to be a bit bigger. Great, and I'm pretty happy with that now. Like I said, you guys can take your time a bit more. And now if I come over here, I grab my rubber again, and that will just help me smooth and blend this out a bit. So the lighter I'm pressing, the more it will blend. Great, that's looking really good. So if I zoom out again, you can see, I'll just rub this out a little bit more. I'm pretty happy with that. That looks like a pretty scary, the Scream face. So the last thing we want to do before we go on to the next tutorial, which is about adding the background in, is we want to merge all these layers together. So we're happy with it. We want to see, because at the moment they're all different, they're all separate. Put that mouth back where I want it. That looks pretty good there. So all I have to do is go up to edit. No, I need to go to file. No, I go to edit. Nope. Image. Nope. Layers. So I want to go up to layer. And what I want to do is go to merge visible. So everything I can see, I want to merge it. So if I click that, there we are, and now there's all one layer, so I can move this however I want. Okay, great, that looks awesome. So what we're going to do is stay just there, leave this how it is, and then go on to the next tutorial, which will look at how to put the background in and how to blend all this into the background. Excellent.